welcome to our December monthly meeting for Mycological Association in Washington, D.C. I'm Tom McCoy, and let's 2 minutes after the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. So tonight we have a end of the year kind of wrap up program for you. Lots of good stuff. I'm going to kick things off with some news about the club and some fungi that have made it into the news as of late. Then we're going to turn it over to Rick Silber, coming to us from lovely Edinburgh, Scotland, and he's going to tell us about some of the great work that he's doing over in Nepal, over in the Himalayas. Then Mitch Fournier it's his turn up this month. He's going to tell us about some of the stuff that we have been finding in our neck of the woods. And then I'll tag myself back in, try to keep myself brief because I remember reading a book by the great Kurt Vonnegut years ago. It said you have to pity the reader. Well, since I have a lot of FaceTime in tonight's meeting, I'm going to try to pity the attendees and keep myself brief. We're going to talk about the photo contest results. And then we're going to wrap things up with my two Myco amigas, the executive committee for the DNA sequencing group. That's Megan and Saranella. And they're going to tell us about some of the good work that they've been doing there. Okay, big news. We have a brand new MAW DC board. I've been with the club for many, many years, board member for many, many years, and for my sins, I've been elevated to president. So I hope you like the sound of my voice. I have 3 years of this ahead of me. April Thompson, who is our current culinary chair, has been moved to vice president. Secretary, we have a new face this time. This is Alan Perper. He's going to just join the board. Luckily, we have a lot of people who decided to stay on for another term. Matt Cohen as treasurer, Mitch and Forays, Bridget and newsletter, and Tom Moore in membership. My Myco amiga Saranella is going to take over programs, and Cindy Connolly Ryan is going to help us out with culinary. Then Martin, who has been with the club for more years than I have, is going to step into the NAMA representative role, and Megan is going to continue on as our science advisor. So I want to pause here and just say how truly thankful we are to the board members who are stepping away. This is true volunteer work. We pay our membership dues and we pay to attend events, Sequinota, et cetera, the same as everybody else. So, being a board member can turn into a lot of volunteer hours. So I, for one, can really appreciate the amount of time that our 3 departing board members have put into this. First off, Elizabeth, who is departing after 3 years as our president, many more years in other roles within the club. So I have to give her a big tip of the hat. She's been very helpful, and I will continue to reach out to her for advice on how I can best do my job as the incoming president of the club. Bruce Boyer, I want to give a huge tip of the cap to. Bruce has been a board member for so many years, decades, really. I mean, he was invested with the club for a large number of years before I got involved with it, and that's pushing 20 years now. And Annie, I think we can all collectively say just how much, just what a delight she's been and how enthusiastic she is with all things mushroom. And it just energizes our anytime that she's online with us or in person. And even though she had to step away from the board for um, this coming year, we're cautiously optimistic that we'll be able to lure her back again into the future. So, again, just want to say how truly thankful I am, and you all should be, for the efforts that our departing board members have made. So, moving on from there, we are a very active club, and as you can see from our list of upcoming events, um, that is true even in the wintertime. So we have a monthly DNA lab day. This is over at Saranella's facility, Mount Rainier Nature Center. That's over in PG County. That's the next one is coming up this Sunday, December 8th. Please refer to the front page of the MAWDC.org website for more details. After that, on December 14th, the new board will be meeting for the first time. That happens in the afternoon. But in the morning, tentatively, I believe, Mitch and I may lead a 4A. Of course, it's December, so that's weather depending and location depending. But if it's at all agreeable, I think we'll try to get out for a few hours before the board meeting and host a walk in the woods. Other things that are coming up, you may remember from the last 2 years, we participated in a group of mycological clubs, mushroom clubs, that kind of pull together resources and have, I think it's every other week talks. So we're planning to do that again. That'll probably start in January sometime. Details to come. And both myself and Natalie Howe like to lead walks during the wintertime months to focus on lichens. Any excuse to get outside is a good excuse, and it's certainly a good excuse to go look at lichens. We will definitely go to Great Falls, probably Carter Rock. I would also like to work in 2 new locations this wintertime, Sugarloaf Mountain, and I want to do a walk on the National Mall, lichens and building stones of the National Mall. So sometime between now and morel season, we should have those. Coming up January 7th, speaking of lichens, we'll have Manuela del Forno. Manuela del Forno was the very first program I ever organized for MAW DC. That was going on 7 years ago. So it kind of a little bit of symmetry to see how to have her come back and talk to us about lichens again in January. In February, we're going to hear from Eugenia Bone. Maybe some of you know her from her cameo in the movie Fantastic Fungi. She's going to come down and visit us at Mount Rainier Nature Center and do an in-person talk on February 2nd. Details to come. She's going to talk about her new book, which is focusing on magic mushrooms. Eugenia is absolutely a fantastic personality. You definitely want to put February 2nd into your calendar and don't double book that day. We'll try to put it on Zoom, but no promises. And then in March, I'm going to be back here talking about the Irish potato famine. So lots of stuff coming up in the next few months. And just really quickly, some save the dates. I'm pretty sure we'll have a MAW DC picnic. That's just a placeholder for right now, sometime this summer. Sequanota, the best weekend foray there is. I'm biased, of course, but I truly believe that. That'll be August, Labor Day weekend. This year, we're going to have Bill Ewell. Maybe some of you remember him from last year's Sequanota. He's going to come back as a guest mycologist again. And Dr. Catherine Aim from Purdue University. And we may very well add one more between now and then. So that's who we have at the moment. And then October 12th, we will be back at Brookside Gardens doing our mushroom fair. A couple of placeholders in here moving forward. North American Mycological Association, their foray. Don't have any deets on that yet. West Virginia foray. Eastern PA foray. So these, a lot of these are all fill-in I'll flesh these out as we get closer. The Northeast Mycological Federation, which is a great club, they have their foray in Ithaca, New York this year. That's already scheduled for September 18th to 21st. That those are their forays are analogous to NAMA forays, and that's not too far away. And Ithaca is one beautiful place, so might want to think about that. And the Mushroom Festival over at Kennett Square, we'll do a joint foray with the Eastern PA Club that same weekend. So keep your eyes open, keep your eyes out open, and we'll add some details to those as we get deeper into the year. Just want to note that's a brick cap mushroom, the Hypholoma lateritium. That's something to be looking for right now. Cold weather brings that mushroom out, and some people consider that to be a decent edible. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Continuing on with fungi in the news, we now this wasn't necessarily in the news or in your news, but I subscribe to the North American Orchid Conservation Center. I get newsletters from them. Did a talk on orchids for the club a couple years ago. Absolutely fascinating topic. Just love these orchids. And orchids have an obligatory relationship with fungi. In other words, if it weren't for fungi, there would be no orchids. Okay. So the Orchid Conservation Center is located at the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center. That's over in Edgewater, Maryland. And they had a very interesting article in their newsletter. They got some funding recently, and they are now going through their orchid collection and sequencing all of the fungi that they can find there. That is huge. They at present have 1,900 sequences from their collection, and that represents mycorrhizal connections to about half of all the orchid species that you find in the USA and Canada. Now, many of these fungal species are undescribed, but the thing is, with orchids, since they have an obligatory relationship with fungi, this is very valuable work moving forward, because without that knowledge of fungi, we would really be handcuffed with our efforts for doing conservation and restoration of native orchids. This next article came from Rick Silber. He's going to be talking to us next. And this is dealing with the positive effects that psilocybin seems to promise for those poor folks that are suffering from OCD or Tourette syndrome. And what they had done in a study by the New Hebrew University is that they found that psilocybin led to positive effects for people who are suffering from that for up to 7 weeks. And this is really encouraging news, because as of now, the current approved treatments, only greater than 40% of those don't seem to provide very much or any relief to people who have those ailments. So that's encouraging. Of course, more research needs to be done. So this is a story, maybe some of you ran across it. This is one of those stories of somebody just being too piggish. This happened out in Washington State, where the Fish and Wildlife Department, they caught this guy. He was smuggling 180 pounds of chanterelle mushrooms. Just look at all those things in there. The state of Washington has a limit of you in your possession, you're allowed to have 5 gallons or less of wild forage mushrooms. Obviously, he is well over that limit, and very piggish, I would say, too, because 5 gallons is an awful lot of 5 gallons of chanterelles is a lot of hours in the kitchen to prep those. I'm sure this guy was intending to sell these to restaurants. This is another good article. Tom Moore shared this with me. I enjoyed this a lot. Reminded me of back in 1980 whenever Mount St. Helens exploded, and that pyroclastic cloud just basically laid a big layer of ash and wiped out all the plant life on one side of the volcano. Well, after everything cooled down, some scientists decided to run a study to see if they could introduce gophers within like designated plot areas to help, if that would have an effect on vegetative regrowth. And so that's what they did. They went on the side of the volcano that wasn't affected by the blast, and got some pocket gophers. And those cute little fellows, they transported them over to the effectively dead site where all the ashes were, and they let them stay there for one day, 24 hours, and that's it. And these gophers, being gophers, they dug down through that ash layer into the fertile soil underneath, and more importantly, they left their scat there, which is full of mycorrhizal fungal spores. And what they're finding all these years later is the sites where these gophers just spent one day, they are absolutely thriving in comparison to the other places next to them, which they didn't perform the study. So, yeah, mycorrhizal fungi are basically being introduced by gophers in this case are largely responsible for that. And I believe that is the end of fungi in the news. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rick Silber, and I'm going to share a different screen so he can tell us about his good work in Nepal.
And hi, everybody. Rick Silber here. I'm speaking to you from Edinburgh, trying to practice at Edinburgh, Scotland, where it's rainy and cold, perfect weather, really. And but I'm going to talk to you just briefly about the next opportunity to go to Nepal with international mountain trekking. We've had 3 of these really successful treks in the Himalayas. Some of you have seen the movie that we made, Look Down, Not Up. That's the other reason I'm in Scotland, is that this film was nominated for Best International Documentary in the European Union Film Festival. It features our stalwarts, Thomas Reel, and many of you know Britt Bunyard, who was at Sequanota, and you know him from all of his work in editor-in-chief of Fungi magazine. He's come 2 times. Last year, Chris Hobbs, who's the, I think, a world-renowned medicinal mushroom expert, was with us last summer, and he's coming back again to help co-lead this trek to the Langtang region in Nepal. And I want to just ask you to take a look at my website, which is a little bit on the screen. The URL for that is IMT Indigo Mary Tango Nepal.com. And there you can see all about the trek. But basically, it's 2 weeks from start to finish, July 13th through 26th. We have 4 wonderful experts, as I mentioned. Chris Hobbs, we have Shiva Devkota, who's one of our members, who's with us today in this meeting from Pokhara, Nepal. We have a wonderful homeopathic physician from Berlin, Germany, Nate Schwartz, and also a botanical print artist, Mayumi Fujio from Oakland, California. And all of these people are going to be leading treks. During the days we're not trekking, we're going to set up workshops in the tea houses to do extracts and tinctures and cooking and botanical prints and sleeping, hiking, having a really fantastic time. This trek is considerably easier, or maybe put it this way, less challenging than Everest Base Camp. It's shorter. There's about 7 days of actual trekking. And on any given day that we're trekking, we're not going any further than about 4 miles. So I think this trek will really, what our goal is to open this up to people that might feel that an Everest Base Camp trek or an Annapurna Sanctuary trek is too challenging. If you're scared of heights, we only have one fairly modest suspension bridge. But the thing I want to really emphasize is the opportunity to participate in a really an exploratory trek. We are absolutely convinced we're finding new mushrooms. And right now, Shiva Devkota is working towards genetically characterizing those mushrooms. And we'll also be doing some work, doing some soil mycorrhizal analyses. So it's a trek that you can get engaged in at any level that feels appropriate, both as a just as someone who's coming and enjoying hiking in the most extraordinary old growth forests and up into above tree line and into the Langtang region, which is right up against the border with Tibet. There's also these old growth forests support extraordinary animal life, black-faced langur monkeys, red panda, Himalayan tar. And so it's really an opportunity to have a variety of experiences in Nepal. And I just am thrilled to be able to bring it to our club. Also, you mentioned Eugenia Bone. Her husband is coming and her son is coming on this trek. So it gives you an idea of, I think, this is just a wonderful opportunity for people. And I hope you'll take a look at my website and get in contact with me. All that information is there. And I'd field one or two questions right now if anybody has anything. Otherwise, I just want to thank everybody for letting me make this presentation.